Hello, Stephen Bulger back talking about photographs, and we'll show you the work of Dawoud Bey. This is a very small exhibition in one of our client rooms of works that were on display about a year and a half ago in a solo exhibition we did with Dawoud that highlighted work from 4 or 5 different projects. Here we have work from just 2 projects, and this is a portrait from his Harlem, USA series, done in the mid-1970s as a young adult who was learning the craft at the time. His parents met in Harlem. Later, as a family, they moved to a different borough in New York, and they retained, certainly a lot of family and friendship ties in Harlem. And but it really wasn't until he was a young adult that Dawoud would devote a lot of his time to this neighborhood. And it's really remarkable artistic scene. He was a drummer at the time, became influenced by visual art, and decided to learn photographs. This is actually one of the later ones done in that series where, in addition to taking portraits, he's understanding the power of light and shadow and incorporating that into these really touching portraits where, remarkably, he's able to seem a bit like a fly on the wall, but fully engaged with the people that he's photographing. So as I said, these were done in the mid-1970s, mid to late 1970s, I should say. And then about 40 years later, he returned to Harlem after doing a number of different projects to make these pictures in a series called Harlem Redux. And this is the site of what used to be the Renaissance Ballroom that had been a real meeting point for the community for celebrations of all sorts. And it's been bulldozed and to make way for condominiums, as is a plight in so many different cities around the world. And that's all that remains. And flipping to this side is also from this series. This is the Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem, and for years has been a meeting place of devotion. And it's now become a tourist site in addition to remaining an active congregation. And Dawoud said this was one of the more difficult photographs for him to imagine. I mean, he relearned his practice to make this series, working with color, working with a handheld camera, and not taking direct portraits, but working with the urban environment. And this is a place that people would line up, and it's almost like a spectacle. So people would watch religious ceremony happen and pay for tickets. And I remember him saying that it took him quite a while to wrap his head around what this situation was all about and how to photograph it. And eventually he made this rather remarkable photograph that I think is quite touching.